All right. I think that people have started to slow down as far as coming in. Um, this is a day I've been looking forward to only because of you, all of you. How special this is to get together with family and friends and celebrate someone as wonderful as my mom. So thank you, everybody. You know, some of you have really made quite a trip to get here, and it means the world to all of us, my brothers and myself. So actually, right out of the gun, I can tell you, we went from a Baptist church, was wonderful, taught us about loving Jesus and about the Bible, you know, and the truths in the Bible. But then Mom uprooted us to a Pentecostal church. And if anybody knows the comparison and the contrast of that, wow. But at this Pentecostal church, it was a big church. And we met, these were one of the families that we met, the Knapp family. And their dad was a fantastic musician, and he just loved it. His whole body, like, moved with it, with the orchestra and the choir and everything. And we loved hearing them sing. So I asked John, I said, in a perfect world, I was calling Johnny about something different. I said, in a perfect world, I would have you guys sing at Mom's funeral. And he didn't even skip a heartbeat. He says, we'd be honored. So today, I haven't heard him in years and years and years. Today we get to hear Johnny, Janie, and Judy sing for us today. I guess there's a mic up there, and then turn me on. I told him in heaven I'd like to sing with this family.
We will. We are honored to be here because the Ordways and the Knapps go way back. So we loved walking in here today and getting hugs from all of the Ordways. It was what an honor. So the song that we have chosen to sing, I remember singing this as a special in church when we were kids, and Mrs. Ordway just absolutely loved this song. So we pulled it out, and of course we need lyrics because we're old. So
And glasses.
so no one ever cared for me like Jesus. I would love to tell you what I think of Jesus, since I found in him a friend so strong and true. I would tell you how he changed my life completely. He did something that no other friend could do. No one ever cared for me like Jesus. There's no other friend so
every day he comes to me with new assurance. More and more I understand all his words of love. But I'll never know just why he came to save me till someday I see his blessed face up above. No, I'll ever care for me like Jesus. There's no other friend so kind as he, kind as he. No one else could take the sin and darkness from me. Oh, how much he cared for me. He cared for me.
Now you can understand why I want to sing with them in heaven. Thank you so much. My mom is smiling for certain. I just want to say, hi, Linda. I didn't see you come in. If I cry today, which is going to happen, it's not because my mom is gone. In one sense, my mom went to be with Jesus. There is no question. And I only cry because I miss her. I miss her a lot. I'm having withdrawals. But anyway, I have some notes that I wrote down. I'm older. I need my cheater readers. So anyway, I'll start with saying my mom wasn't perfect. None of us can claim that either. Jesus comes for imperfect people like you and I. So my mom went to nursing school. Her childhood was rough. She grew up in an alcoholic home. There wasn't physical abuse at all, just a lot of challenges. So an alcoholic home, but she was loved. So she met a friend in nursing school that introduced her to Jesus, told her about Jesus, told her about his love, the forgiveness of sin. And Mom accepted Jesus in her heart 2 weeks before she and Dad got married. So again, that would bring some real challenges, wouldn't it? Anyway, Mom and Dad we have 6 siblings in 8 years' time. Anybody else done that? We put a set of twins in there, but in 8 years, we had 6 of us. And Mom actually told the story of, they were sitting looking, we have a picture of the 6 of us around the kitchen table at breakfast time. And they looked at each other one morning, and there was only 5 of us there at the time. And she said, after all the rest of us got up and left the breakfast table, we were little, they said, there's an empty seat right here on this end. And so they had Brent. And then the table was full, and so was our lives. I loved it. We had enough of us to play kickball or baseball. We had enough, always. And I liked that a lot for fighting, too, when that came along. Different memories of Mom. She played her piano at night. You know, it was always a busy day, always. But I think after us kids got a little older, where we didn't have to, you know, she'd tuck us in and we'd stay there. Then she would play her piano. And I wanted to show you, my mom loved music. She wrote a cantata. She wrote songs. And the cantata actually was performed in public. And it's called Because He First Loved Me. And it was about Jesus loving and how he affected her life and our lives. She wrote songs. There was a song, some of her Common Time friends are here. They would practice and rehearse and then do concerts at the Clemens Center. Some of them are here today. And very dear friends of hers. Their Friday Night Friend group, very dear friends. But they performed one of the songs I'd never heard before that Mom had written. And it was very, almost tumultuous, like the chords and the notes for music people, dissonance. There was, like the notes would clash and then they'd relax. And it was like a whirlwind of music, and I'd never heard it. It was amazing. And they performed it during Women Artists Appreciation Month. And I asked her much later. I asked Mom about that song. And I said, Mom, I'd never heard that before. And she said, I wrote it for Dad. It was something about that one face, looking through the crowds of people for that one face. She was writing about my dad. And Dad passed away in 1998. So Mom lived a long time without Dad, and she missed him. All right. We grew a garden. Mom and Dad grew a huge garden. We learned to do that, to can the vegetables, and I'm sure you guys remember that. I think on Saturdays, we had to weed 2 rows of that garden before we could go play. I didn't like gardening then. That was a lot of work. But I love gardening now, and I do canning because Mom would. I remember just Jan and I helping her in the kitchen, canning and canning and canning. She taught us to sew. If my Grammy was here, she was an amazing seamstress. She taught us to sew, to knit, and even to knit our own mittens. So there for a few years, even the boys knitted their own mittens. And she wanted us to learn some of those skills, but we got to pick out what color yarn we wanted. So that was fun. We could make them however we wanted. Saturday mornings we had to work. We had to do, household chores till the monster movie matinee came on at 1 o'clock. That was always our goal, to be done in time, to make tuna melts, and we put them in the tuna fish, the cheese, put them in a paper bag and put them in the oven. And I never could understand why the bag didn't catch on fire, but it didn't. And they were so tasty. That was always our goal, every Saturday that we were home. And then some Saturdays she'd say, don't plan anything on Saturday. You're going to be busy with me. And I remember oh, man, but I want to go play on Saturday. Well, then I learned, it took a while, I learned not to be upset because it'd be like going and picking blueberries out in the woods or a picnic or something. It was something special, and it ended up being fun. So that's a wonderful memory, too. We went to the lake. We did a lot of picnics. Dad had a small motorboat, not so small, I mean, we learned to water ski. If Rick Rourke was here, I'd bring him about. They were next door neighbors, and he was another member of the family. We took him up to the lake one time to go and learn to ski. And by doggy, he did learn to ski, but when he came around back from the lake, and you let go of the handle, and you kind of glide, and then you sink in the water. Ritter did that. He glided. He went down the water, and when he came up, the heavy wooden water ski smacked him right in the eye. He had a big shiner for days. Just some of the adventures. Mom was a nurse. We would go to, there was a couple different Christian ranches that we went to. They were the same friends. They had one here in Owego, then they moved to Spring Creek, and we followed them there. And Mom would be a nurse at the ranch so that we could be there, like as a family, for the whole week. That was how we paid to be there. Mom was the nurse. And of course, that held a lot of adventures. To Mom, family was very, very important. She showed it to us all the time. We had, this is a family and friend reunion, but we had huge family reunions on my dad's side because there was 12 siblings. On my mom's side, she only had one brother, but we still, with all the children that our generation, we had a good-sized family reunion there too. And a lot of you are here today. I couldn't tell you how thrilled I am that you are. We are. So then I have some bullet points. Mom taught us to love people, to help others. She taught us forgiveness, even in our own home, to forgive each other. She taught us courage. One of the ways was she worked in Elmira Correctional Facility for 17 years as a nurse. I didn't like it that Mom went there to work. I did not like it. I was afraid for her. But there was guards that helped watch over her, and the Lord was watching over my mom too. But here's a really cool fact about teaching us courage. In our neighborhood, we were a pretty tight-knit neighborhood. A couple houses down, there was a next-door neighbor named Mrs. Wood. She was the neighborhood grandmother. And she had a woodchuck that was bothering her garden. And I know because we lost half our garden this year due to woodchucks. Well, it got caught in a trap, and it didn't die. So Mrs. Wood got a hold of one of us kids running the neighborhood and sent for Mom. My mom went over with a pistol. Boom. That woodchuck was not going to bother Mrs. Wood's garden any longer. That was my mom. I thought that was so cool. She taught us to encourage other people because she encouraged us. In every way, my mom encouraged us. To be polite and kind. Even, you guys, even to the end where she was still talking, she would still say, please help me. Or they would do something for her and she'd say, thank you. Right? 93 and a half, losing her mind, and she still would say, please and thank you. Mommy and Dad both taught us to work really hard. They were very hard workers, and it's a good character trait to develop and to have. She taught us to see the positive in others. Acceptance. She taught us acceptance. That was through girlfriends, boyfriends, spouses. She taught us acceptance. She was not a judgmental person. And it really was demonstrated in her life. She also taught us don't give advice unless you're invited to. So when there was, when one of us kids would start having a little bit of rocky time in our marriages, Mom wouldn't say anything. She would pray. She wouldn't say anything. unless we were invited, unless we said, Mom, this is going on. Can you help me? And I carry that on too, because I think that's very valuable, important. She taught us self-sacrifice. Oh, my word, she did. What a giving person. To us kids, to Dad, but to others in her nursing field, to the neighborhood kids. Ours was a home that people and kids came to. It's always popping full of kids. And that continued right through our life. In our church life, Mom was right there helping, teaching Sunday school or teaching classes or giving to others. And then I'm going to end my sharing part with, in our last few days with Mom, our friend Sue, third twin. Over our blonde blue eyes, they still mistake her and I for each other here in Horseheads. She said, I want to sing some songs to your mom. And I said, oh, I'd love to do that. But it didn't happen. It was busy. Mom had company in and out her whole last couple of weeks. It was wonderful. And when someone came to the door, I guess to see Mom at Sarah Memory Care, one of the aides said, oh, your mom, she's down there and you can't miss her family. Because there was just visitors in and out the whole time. It was such a precious testament of who she was, But we didn't know it was the last day. But the last day of Mom's life here, I said, hey, Sue, you got that music? Let's sing to Mom today. And she goes, oh, okay. And she turns on the background music, very nice background music. And we sang to Mom. Like, what a friend we have in Jesus, because he lives. There was 4 songs, and we closed the door. My 2 sons were with us at that point. It was just the 4 of us and Mom, and we sang to Mom. And she was very weak by then, no talking, no nothing. Her arm fell off the bed. They had a teddy bear tucked in her arm, and her arm fell off the bed while we were singing. And once you know it, Mom's arm starts swinging to the music. And it wasn't just because her arm fell. It wasn't a reaction from her arm falling that inertia took over and her arm fell. She started swinging her arm. Because then Sue and I stopped, and Sue put the background music over quietly near Mom. Later on, she swung her arm some more. And I said, Mom, are you conducting music? It was just a sweet, sweet memory that I have. And I'm so thankful for that time to sing to Mom. I think I couldn't have wanted anything more to wrap up her life with me. So I'm going to hand this over now. Who wants to? Don't be shy if you can help it. Even if you only have 2 words to say, we would appreciate hearing it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Mark. I'm the second oldest child and the oldest surviving one right now. Now I'm going to fill in some things that Joy probably doesn't remember. But Mom invested in people. They just invested. That's what she loved to do. She loved to show love to other people. We have people here that came in from Washington State, from San Francisco, from Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Vermont, because Mom invested in people, not just in her family, but in others. And she taught us to love people outside of our family. There's a typo in the obit that said she has 48 great-grandchildren. No, I thought, who did the math on that? I mean, Mom and Dad, when they started out, they did read in the Bible where God said, be fruitful and multiply, and they were the Baptist version of that, for sure. But our home was always a home of welcoming. Dad had a round table made by a cabinet maker that would seat 12 people. And then there was a subsequent table next to it in case we were overloaded on that one, where there was room for 6 more people. And there are a lot of people in this room right now that knew us before we were born. Kathy and Carol knew my parents before we were born. Aunt Luann knew us before we were born in that way. And Aunt Luann and my mom had a wonderful relationship through all those years. Kathy and Carol, when my mom and dad came home from the hospital from having my twin sisters, they ran over to our house and opened the front door so mom and dad could get in with the new babies. And that's what kind of long-term love and relationships look like. And so I'm grateful for those things. Growing up, Joy was right. We always worked. They taught us to be self-sufficient, but we grew up with lists. It was ridiculous. There was a list on everything. We had lists. Now, when you got old enough, you could kind of swap for your dish duty, whether you were washing or drying or cleaning off the table. You could swap so that you could actually have one extra day off if you wanted to do 2 chores one day. Us kids, we had color code. We were color-coded kids. My color was red on my T-shirts, my socks, my underwear, everything, because we were too close in age. I don't know about Brent, but I can't speak for him. But anyway, I know what it was like for Lance Scott and me. And so when Mom started writing music, we were the Von Trapp family. We were the Baptist version of Von Trapp family. And she would take us out to these country churches where the piano was so far out of tune, it's just better if they didn't even play it. And so the extra music would be Mr. Van Alstyne playing a handsaw with a violin bow, kind of like Appalachian music. We look forward to going out because we got cookies. We sang for cookies. And, they were always homemade. Every once in a while, somebody would stick in a box of Oreo cookies, which served well, too. And then we did that so much that my mom made pastel vests for us, little vests with yellow piping. There would be kind of an orange and an aqua and a blue and a yellow. I'm telling you, we were the Von Trapp family of central New York and northern Pennsylvania. And so that's really how it was. Mom, in high school, she got very good grades, and the Businesswomen of Corning Association, because of her high grades, they give her a full scholarship to Arnott Ogden School of Nursing. And she didn't have to pay for anything. She didn't have any money, but she didn't have to pay for any of her schooling. So she lived there. And anyway, some of the nurses she met there were pretty cool. 3 of them I know went on the mission field. One of them, Helen, the lady that led her to the Lord, came back. And I remember her, they would show up at our house. One of them went to Honduras. I can't remember one went, and the other one went to Africa. And the one that went to Africa, one time she brought a monkey back with her from Africa. So we were the only kids in Breesport that had a monkey that guessed. And I remember the monkey finally got frustrated with things and started messing up. And so she put him in the car. He tore the car apart while she was back inside. So, that was our afternoon. But who else can talk about having a monkey? I know some people can. Yeah. There's that. She was the first person, the first nursing student through Arnott Ogden. She got really high grades there. She was the first person that they let get married while still going to school. And Dad was home on a four-day Army leave, and they were able to get married over outside of Corning, where she grew up. So, and she just carried that on. She worked for a cardiologist. She worked for our country doctor, Doc Smith, who kept everybody alive up here, up the road about 3.5 miles for years. She worked for oncologists. She worked on the Hill. I think it's very appropriate, her headstone. Her dad's headstone, he's in the National Cemetery in Elmira, and he's facing one way. Mom's information will be described on the back of his headstone, but she gets to look at the prison the whole time until it goes away. It's very, very appropriate. Anyway, I don't know what else to say, but other than what Joy was saying about, I was thinking about the core of our very beings. Where are we? Who are we? How do we love people? Are we kind to people or not? What do we want to do with our lives? Mom, I was here, Scott and I were here from Monday to Friday, the week that she died. And Kathy and Carol came to see her on Tuesday. And Monday, she was out of it completely. Tuesday morning, she rallied. I got down in front of her. I said, "Hi, Mom, it's Mark, your son." And I saw recognition in her eyes. It was fleeting, like 10 to 30 seconds, and then it was gone. Kathy and Carol came a little bit later, and Kathy got down and talked to her. And Kathy said to her, "I love you." And the last 3 words spoken together was, "Mom said, I love you." Sorry. That was the core of who she was. I love you. She showed love through it all, through being loved by others to being not loved by others. It's a good thing. It's a good example for us all to consider. And then the nurses came in, and the last 2 words she spoke was to the nurse when they were moving her around so she wouldn't get bed sores. She said, "Thank you." Nurse speaking to nurse. And that's the very core of who she was, showing love and showing kindness and showing respect to others. I'm so grateful for everyone that's here. I don't know everyone here, and some of them I'm really having to reach back there to remember what other people's names are, but I hope to get to meet every one of you, and I thank you for being here. So. We have a couple of mics that are available. We can walk the mic to you if you want, or if you want to stand up here, you're welcome. So anyway, anybody else? This is not an auction. This is just an opportunity. We're not selling anything, so.
Hi, you probably don't know me at all. I started going to Breesport Baptist at 4 years old. And when I was old enough to go into a class, she was my teacher. And all the way through till 9th grade, or 19 years old, she was teaching us the right way to live life. She had so much joy and forgiveness. I mean, none of us in the classroom ever felt intimidated because she was so good. How would you ever live up to that? She was so good. And her daughter, I've diapered you. That's how old I am. And your sister. Your mother made provisions for me to work in the nursery when she felt I was old enough to do that. So I took care of you babies in the nursery. And she was a wonderful person. That's all I wanted to tell you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Carol Mosier Penny. We were neighbors with the Ordways for many years, and Maxine and Dale and their family are our extended family. Maxine was very influential to our family, and she was very funny too. But I'm not going to tell you some things that she said. Kathy and I would take her to dinner, and she loved going out to dinner. Then we would take her for long rides, and we just love the family so much, and we've always been very close.
name was Cockatoo.
So Mom mentored some of these girls here from about the age of 10, and they would come to our house. We always had people in our house, whether it was in a group or not. She put on a mock wedding, and the girls had to dress up in part for a mock. There are pictures to prove it, Nancy. Anyway, she just talked them life. And so some of those girls are here today. I call them girls because Mom called them girls. They're older than me, but I'm still a kid, so why not, right? So, anyone else?
Hi, I'm Nancy. I used to be a little. My dad was superintendent at the Breesport Baptist Church, and I knew Maxine and Dale and the whole family. For many years, we were there, and it was just an honor to have your mom there. And the last time I actually saw her was she was looking for a place to stay, and she was at Woodbrook where my mother-in-law was. And we had the nicest visit. I hadn't seen her in quite a while, but it was just brought back so many memories of back when we were kids, and she was just always there for all of us.
One of the songs that I remember her singing was "It Will Be Worth It All." I wish I could hear her sing it now.
Yeah, Mom published about 60 songs, all gospel songs, and at least 30 of them are copywritten. And so, anyway.
So I remember the cantata. I still have my book. But the funny story is when I was getting my wisdom teeth out, I was singing, and they didn't know what the song was, and I knew that they wouldn't know because it was Maxine's. So I could hear myself, but they didn't know what I was doing. I thought that was cool when you brought that up.
You were singing her song.
I'm Dawn Mellons, now Jewel, and in a perfect world, as we were talking about earlier, not only would the Knaps be singing, but we would be hearing John play his saxophone. And that's one of the things that I have wished for years, that I could hear him play his saxophone. And the other thing is to hear Maxine and Bob Stewart sing together. But you know, that little Baptist church that we grew up in, today people are very concerned about doing too much, getting overextended. And as a child, you don't even think about these things. But that little country church had people like Maxine Ordway and Chuck Little and Bob Stewart. And Bob Lammy was a man who drove me to Sunday school every single Sunday for years. And if I were to list the many things and ways that Maxine influenced my life, you would be here all day. But she had a profound influence on my life as a teenager. I'm a nurse. Wonder why? I can remember, she took us to visit colleges when we were in high school. We put on a mock wedding where one of the girls was the groom. Today we wouldn't dare do that because of all the gender confusion and all that. We wouldn't dare let one of the girls dress up as a guy and be the guy in the wedding. But, it never occurred to me. Well, it did a bit, but not as a child. You don't realize. She had a job. She had 6 kids. She led our Pioneer Girl group. It's like, how did she do all the things that she did? But there's a song that says, "Thank you for giving to the Lord. I was a life that was changed. Thank you for giving to the Lord. I am so glad you gave." And she gave an enormous amount. The reason she was called Cockatoo is
in Pioneer Girls, it was too formal to call her Mrs. Ordway. You know, we're supposed to be more friendly terms than that, and yet we couldn't really call her Maxine. So they chose bird names. And I was just asking someone who came up with cockatoo. But as I remember it, she went out of the room and we discussed what bird name we were going to give her. And she came back into the room a little, worried about what we were going to name her. And somebody had come up with cockatoo. I'd never heard of a cockatoo, didn't know what a cockatoo was. But we told her cockatoo, and she just kind of paused for a minute and like, okay, not as bad as she was obviously envisioning. But she certainly gave to the Lord, and I'm so glad she did.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bruce, and I'm one of the people that Maxine invested in to the point of where I actually have become an adopted son, which is a great honor. I knew Maxine only late in life. I was trying to remember the year that we met. It was in common time, at least 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more, likely a little more than that, but I cannot remember the year that we actually met. And through that, I found my way to, I'll start sad and I'll end up better. I was sitting in church. I had lost my son to a car accident, and I was sitting in church, but I wasn't really there. There was a tap on my shoulder. It was Maxine. She says, "Come on with me." I sat with her. We ended up sitting at church every Sunday. We got to where we'd be socially, go to lunches and talk, and she helped me through a really, really bad time. But I was also there for her when she lost children, grandchildren. I'm so glad that I know her. I'm so glad that I know her. And as I looked at all the pictures online that were, whoever did that was just a wonderful thing that they did on the Sullivan's website. There's much of her life that I never knew when she was younger and having children and working careers and things. I never knew any of those things. But I did pick up on one, the thrill seeker part of Maxine, which she was, I wasn't there, but I heard that she had actually done a zip line when she was in her 80s. She did a zip line, really? I wasn't there, but I believe that it's true. And I saw a picture go by on where she has a motorcycle helmet on standing next to a motorcycle. And that's not the only one. I had a motorcycle, and I had opportunity a couple of times, actually, where I had a little stool. She could get on my bike, and we took a ride. So I'm so glad to know her on so many levels, but I think she actually saved my life. I'm grateful. I can stand here and look stupid, or someone can take the mic.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Somebody want to speak? Am I missing anybody? Well, here we go. Oh, is it on? Yes, it's on. It's on.
It works. Yeah. Hello, my name's Dana Siemens, and pardon my back, I apologize. Yeah. I'll get composure. Lest I will have done this before. Aunt Maxine was very special. The whole family was special. My mother was Uncle Dale's sister. And so every year, the brightest time of the year was the second Sunday in July. Because I can't look at you. It was the second Sunday of July. And not only that, that's the year that we would always get new clothes and new tennis shoes so that we could go to the Ordway family reunion. That was a huge event, huge. All of our family would get together. And that was at the Sile Rod and Gun Club. But one of the greatest events is realizing or remembering one of the most special hugs that you would get would be from Aunt Maxine. And when she would sit next to you and ask about your life and what's going on and why is it so special and what are you doing, and you just felt like you were the only person in her life at that point in time. I was. But I would always look for that hug, to walk over and to get that special hug from Aunt Maxine. The Ordway family, her children specifically, I mean, the whole Ordway family is very special, and we were very thankful. I'm seeing Brad and his wife here, and that was it. We'd get out and play baseball and throw the football or whatever else we would do. But we never did that. Uncle Allie? Yeah. I won't get on that road. But anyways, yeah, that was very special. But specifically, her children were exceptional. And I have to admit, there were points. It was like, wow, I really wish I was a part of that family and I'd go home with them. And maybe that's an odd thing to say, but it was where I was. So I am very thankful for my Aunt Maxie, because she was exceptional.
Hey, I'm Brent, the youngest of the crew. I hear a lot of stories, a lot of funny things and good things about Mom. And one of the things I really appreciate about her, she had a great sense of humor. She was a great straight man, and she loved a good laugh. But she was a very strong woman. Mom and Dad raising 6 kids in 7.5-year time frame. Especially with twins, troublesome twins, I might add. That takes a lot in itself. But as Bruce mentioned, and you saw the photo, his mom rode her own motorcycle. She had a Honda 250 or something, 350, and she looked like Pinky Tuscadero from Happy Days. She had the white helmet and always wore a pink scarf, always, flapping in the wind, doing 32 miles an hour, no more probably. And as you saw, she wrote music, and she was an RN in a maximum security prison, not a white collar crime prison, but the bad boys. She was a strong woman, and probably one of the best things I can say about Mom is she was in prison. She was in prison for 17, 18 years. So it's a good joke that I have. Yeah, my mother was in prison. And she never really told us, she never really shared much about what happened there, because probably about the last 14, 15 years, she worked in the psych ward. of prison. So not only the bad boys, but the psychotic ones. And you know, a lot of things happened there that she never told us. Thank God she didn't. But I, as like Joy, did not appreciate her working there. But you know, she, as we've all said, she's a strong woman. You know, she was very generous. As many people said, you know, she would share and give you the shirt off her back. One thing I have to tell you a secret about Mom is she did not share everything. She would not share her Reese cups with anyone, no one. She loved Reese cups. I mean, she would sit there and eat raw vegetables and then a Reese cup. You know, I didn't quite understand that, but she enjoyed that broad spectrum of health diet. And it was funny. What I learned from that is I always brought a Reese cups, but I always had to walk in the door. Hi, Mom. I'm here to visit with you. Show her the bag of Reese cup, open them up, and take two, eat them in front of her, and then I would give her the rest of the bag because you wouldn't get any. I mean, it was so funny. I really thought she was kidding about it, but she literally would not share her Reese cups, which is so funny. You know, one of the things, you know, you've heard is the commonality of what you've heard people talk about is Jesus. And that's a special part about Mom. That's what she taught us to do, is to have a real and sincere relationship with Christ. That's what it's about. And that's what draws people to her, is that love for Christ. I just want to finish with this. I want to read a scripture. And this is out of Proverbs 31. And the heading is Description of a Worthy Woman. Now, it's talking about a wife, but it also talks about a mother as well. It says, an excellent wife, who can find her? For her worth is far above jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She looks for wool and linen and works with her hands in delight. She is like merchant ships, and she brings her food from afar. She rises while it's still night and gives food to her household and portions to her attendants. She considers a field and buys it. From her earnings, she plants a vineyard, and she surrounds her waist with strength and makes her arms strong. She senses that her profit is good, and her lamp does not go out at night. She stretches out her hand to the distaff, and her hands grasp the spindle. She extends her hand to the poor, and she stretches out her hands to the needy. She's not afraid of the snow for her household, because they are clothed with scarlet. She makes coverings for herself and her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies belts to the tradesmen. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teachings of kindness is on her tongue. She watches over the activities of her household, does not eat the bread of idleness. This is what I want to close with, these last two verses. Her children rise up and bless her. Her husband also, and he praises her, saying, many daughters have done nobly, but you excel them all. That's a mother.
He read a scripture from the Old Testament, so I'm going to do one from the New Testament. Is that all right? Are you familiar with 1 Corinthians 13? Yes. What's it called in the Bible? Love chapter. So in the King James Version, they use the word charity. Charity means love. I'm going to take it a step further and change love to Maxine. 1 Corinthians 13, just a few verses. Maxine never gives up. Maxine cares more for others than for self. Maxine doesn't want what it doesn't have. Maxine doesn't strut. Maxine doesn't have a swelled head. She doesn't force herself on others. It always isn't me first. Maxine doesn't fly off the handle. Well, it might have been one or two times. I don't know. Maxine doesn't score the sins of others. Maxine doesn't revel when others grovel. Maxine takes the pleasure in the flowering of truth. Maxine puts up with anything. Maxine trusts God always. Maxine always looks for the best. Maxine never looks back. Maxine keeps going till the end. That was Maxine that I knew. And we love you guys.
Okay, now I have 2 microphones in my hand. Somebody must want to say something. Is there anybody else who would like to share something? Where are we? Okay.
My name is Henry Knott. I had a small home study, and she came to it. And during that time, my doctor told me I needed a pet. So I told him I didn't think so. So a couple weeks later, here comes Maxine with a stuffed dog. And then about a week or 2 after that, somebody asked me, well, what'd you name the dog? And I said, Max. I named him Max. And she was just getting ready to get a drink of water. And she almost choked on it. But she and I had some good times. Even after that, we met now and then, and we had broke bread together. And it was she's just a wonderful woman. And I really appreciated her. And as I walked in here today, I could feel the love in my heart that I have for her. So praise God.
Who else?
Well, everybody has a different name for her, but I always called her Mama O. She gave me 3 that I could pick from, and that's the one I picked. She walked the walk, and everything everyone has said today is just the truth. That's who she was. And I didn't have a family. And you'll hear sometimes that I was always at their house, and I was always I couldn't wait for the weekend. I couldn't wait for Sunday. I couldn't wait to go to the Ordways. You never knew what you were going to do. You never knew what we were going to have. But it was always joy, and it lasted the whole week. I don't care if it's water skiing and I nearly broke my leg. I don't care if it was the dog when I came in peed on me. I didn't care any of it. It was joy, and I will always remember her as the best mom I ever knew.
Hi, my name is Jack Little. I didn't know Maxine that long, but I've probably known her over about 15 years. I didn't have a deep relationship with her, but I had a relationship in Jesus Christ with her. And we now, Joni, at her house, are still doing the Bible study that Maxine started years and years ago. We're known as the Seeking Seniors. So if you want to join our group, you have to be at least 102. But Maxine, one time at one of the Bible studies, gave me, or she gave all of us, a map of Israel, the Holy Land. And I had that all rolled up, and I have it out on my desk where I do my study and everything, but I've never really framed it. But now I'm going to frame it, because it's a great memory of what she did and what she accomplished, and the length of time that what she planted years ago is going to bear fruit from the future. So thank you, Maxine, and thank you for everybody who knew her, that shared all of the intimacies that you had with her, so we could share it with you as well. But I'm a little irritated that she got promoted and I'm still here. Other than that.
God still has something for you to do.
Amen.
Anybody else? Where? Who's? You?
So a lot has been said about the cantata that Maxine wrote. And so Joy gave this to me a long time ago. And I'm a musician. It's too complicated for me. So I thought, well, what song could I actually wade through? And I found one that I could wade through. And when you see the lyrics, everybody who knows her is going to recognize that this is definitely where her heart was. So I'm going to fumble through it on the keyboard.
Piano and
Yes, and
Go ahead.
we have the lyrics for you to follow along. So if you know this one, please sing really loud. I'm going to start out with the chorus so that when we get back there, you'll have heard it once and you can sing along with me.
All right.
So we'll do that chorus. The love of Jesus is ours to behold. The love of Jesus, more valuable than gold. He gave his life on Calvary for such a one as I. The love of Jesus, so deep, so high. I haven't the words to tell
as you sing.
Wonders to behold, the love of Jesus is valuable than gold. He gave his life on Calvary for such a one as I. Oh, the love of Jesus, so deep, so high. If you've never known before the love of Jesus, reach out and by faith today give him your heart. He'll bring to your life the joy that never ceases. And with him you'll get a brand new start. The love of Jesus is wondrous to behold. The love of Jesus, more valuable than gold. He gave his life on Calvary for such a one as I. Oh, the love of Jesus, so deep, so high.
Anybody else? Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else here today that would like to share something? We have time. Come on up. Can you come up this way?
So I was standing in the back, and I'm thinking, what would I say? What would I say? What would I say? I guarantee half of you have done that already. And after going through many thoughts, and not to make it really somber, but I feel like I should share what my mom would say, because she should be here. So, my mom loved her mom. And so I'd like to share some of the ways that I observed as I observed their relationship. And as a little, we would go over and spend time with Pop-Up after he would do his dialysis stuff at home. And he would eat his soup, and then we would take a nap for 20 minutes, and then we'd get to visit. And then fast forward a little bit, and Pop-Up passed, and then Mimi, well, okay, sorry, my thoughts. My mom would do things like after Mimi's renters, because she was a landlord, I don't know if you guys knew that, but after they would trash her places, we would go and we would clean them for Mimi. My mom would honor her with showing up with chili from Wendy's. They would go and take rides along the lake. They would get ice cream afterwards. Always. It would not be abnormal to find maybe 8 or 9 containers of ice cream in the freezer, and that was always okay. My mom, oh man. They both loved to sing, and I remember Mimi sharing with me about how she started to write her cantata. I'm so sorry, you guys, I'm really scattered. I don't know if you guys knew this, she didn't have formal training in music. Like, she didn't take music theory. So all of you people who are musically trained, this was not Mimi. God taught her how to to do the music. She told me she would hear melodies and harmonies, and she would have a baby on her hip and a toddler running and getting into something and trying to keep them in their color-coded, organized life. And in the middle of all of that, she would go over and she would put, she had marked her piano with the letters of each key of the note, thank you. And she would click on it, and then she would write it down. And then she would go about with her babies. And then they would come in from school, the ones that were school age. Then she would go and write down a little more. And so to have even a piece like that, which she had many other songs, all of us who have been moms with littles, can you imagine? Like trying to actually, with no formal training, come up with what you were hearing, like have it make sense in all its parts. When my mom was in the hospital, we orchestrated a time for Mimi to call over the phone because she was in the South. My mom was in the South. And I kind of got the blessing of listening to people's conversations, you know, by holding up the phone to my mom. And it was like my mom was like a toddler when she was talking to her. She's like, "Are you in pain, Jan?" And then my mom would get some words out. She's like, "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. It's okay. I love you so much." And the tenderness in all of Mimi's years, yet she had some things that would come up in family that come up, right? But in all things, she made people feel like they were a person that mattered to her. And even, you know, even in like the last moments of her talking with Mom, it was like, "Jan, I love you. Jan, I love you." And obviously there's a huge testimony of different people just saying that they felt loved. I've been to lots of funerals, guys. And at the end of the day, some funerals there's only like a handful of people. But for a room of people to stand up and genuinely say, "I felt loved," that's a huge testimony and something to aspire to. Like, if you can sit with another person and you felt seen and you felt heard. And I know she did that with my family. I mean, we have a huge family. We have a huge family. And even with my kids, she would come up on Thursdays when I lived in New York, and she would hold a baby, and then she would take a nap on my couch with a baby. And it was such a huge blessing, and I felt seen, and I felt heard, and I felt loved. And so if any of that made sense, just leave with she knew you. All the extended family, like her people, she loved you guys so dearly. I felt like vicariously kind of knew you a little bit through Mimi. She was so proud of you. Like, I knew your faces, cousins, because she had a picture of you in her kitchen, and we were all stacked along the Perkins Ave. Like, our pictures were up, not their children, like the grandbabies were up there. So, that's it. Yeah, we love you, Mimi. Thank you.
Who's next? Anybody else? I'm sure that these words that people are speaking are triggering things in your own minds and your own memories. While I'm waiting, you ready to speak?
I'm Pastor Jack Healy from the Pine Valley United Methodist Church. Sang with Maxine for year after year after year in Common Time. But it wasn't the singing, it was the spirit that we had between us as brothers and sisters. I will always remember that. And because I've heard some of you sing, and because I think you know this song, and it was Maxine's favorite song, I'd like us all to sing this together. Join me. It will be worth it all when we see Jesus. Life's trials will seem so small when we see Christ. One glimpse of his dear face, all sorrows will erase. It will be worth it all when we see Christ. Thank you, Maxine.
It's a song I haven't sung in a very long time, and it's a good old one. It's a good one. Anybody else? I'm going to just share a couple of words because my experience with Maxine is quite different than any of yours. I never met her. I knew of her. My husband and I came here to pastor a church in 1980, and we were hearing about the Ordway family from the time we got here. I heard the Ordway name many times. I didn't know who you were, but I knew that you were well known, well loved, and very special people, and very talented people, apparently. And I only knew her vicariously through Jan, her daughter, who was a part of this church for a season. But the things that I have heard today make me wish I had known her too. She sounded like, in fact, I knew where she lived there on Old Ithaca Road because Jan had mentioned, and Jan lived with her for a while. And you know what? Every time I go past there, I still think of her. That was just yesterday. That was where Maxine lived. Maxine Ordway, a woman I never knew. But I'm going to be excited to meet her when I get to heaven, as I'm sure the rest of you will be. If there's anybody else that has something you'd like to share, please don't be afraid. It's wonderful to hear these things. And if you'd like, come on, I'll bring it to you.
I'm Elaine Bacchus, and the Ordways know me very well. Maxine was my aunt, even though it wasn't by blood. She was always there, her and Uncle Dale and all the boys and the girls. I was number 4 of 6 kids. Mom and Aunt Max were friends in high school, and our families would get together all the time, either at the Ordways or up on our farm. More at our farm because there was a lot of land. We had a big field that was mowed, that we would play softball. We had 12 kids and any other tag-alongs that came along. So we had more than enough kids to play. In 1973, my sister Darlene was married, and 5 days later, my dad passed away unexpectedly. Aunt Max and Uncle Dale were right there. He'd come right up to the farm and stayed with Mom and us kids. And Aunt Max was just wonderful. The whole Ordway family is a wonderful family. We went when we heard about Uncle Dale dying. Mom and I came down. We spent the day with Aunt Max and Mark was there. I don't remember if the other kids were there yet. Mom lived with me her last 4 years, and Aunt Max came up with Jan. There were 3 times that they came up and visited with Mom. One time, Mark came because he was in town and he wanted to see Mom. So they came up and they spent, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. We had a great time just talking, and they just, Mom and Aunt Max just hugged on each other, laughed, and we just let them go. And Jan and Mark and I, we walked around the house and went outside and did lots of things. Come back in and they're still tee-heeing. So, but it was a great time. I went down and I saw Aunt Max 2 different times down in the nursing home, and I apologize that I didn't get there when Mark called and told me that it was going to be soon. But I wanted her to know, and I did tell her, that she was the inspiration and the reason I went to nursing school and became an RN. And I took her cookies both times I visited. And she chowed. It was like she hadn't eaten all day, but she just enjoyed them. And so it was an honor to do that again for today. And we love you guys.
Okay. Anyone else? He has something to say. Okay. I'm going to give it back to you.
I want to explain the one picture of a whole bunch of us, women, girls, in the red and green and white plaid nighties. When my sister got sick, you know, it was so unexpected, and it was 2 months from the time of diagnosis, less than 2 months till she passed away. But I discovered when Jan and Brett and I were together down in Florida that the most comfortable clothing she could have was nighties. And so I went to the store there, I think 3 times, in that 10 days that we were down south. Anyway, and they had a Christmas nightie out. And I think it was August or September. Anyway, that was her favorite one, was that Christmas plaid nightie. So we decided, one of us came up with the idea of getting, I'm going to get that like for my daughter and my granddaughter. I'm going to take that home. And the other one says, I'm going to do that too. And so we called each other, and all of us females got the same nightie. And so we got together and took a picture in honor of Jan. That's what that was her last thing she wore. So she went in the ground with that nightie on, and we still have our nighties that we wear in honor of our sister. So thank you, everybody, so much for coming, for singing, for playing the piano and playing one of my mom's songs. And just being here. Thank you so much. We have refreshments. Please, let's get right there. It's catered. We have till 5, so we can still chat and linger, but let's move our lingering and chatting to that room down the hall. Straight ahead. You can't miss it. Walk in and see. It's a reflection of Mom. Go see it.